So as you guys know, I've hit Sovereign autofill only all the way up to rank 5. I've hit Challenger on every role, and I've played all of the roles a lot. And so I'm often asked by people if I think this is actually a good idea for them to do, or if it's more unique to me. And so I'm going to just answer that question and kind of talk about the benefits and drawbacks of learning all of the roles, and if you should learn all of them, or if you should stick to one or two maybe. And so the initial benefits of learning all of the roles is that you're going to understand how every role works, which means if you're playing certain roles, you understand what the rest of your teammates need and are able to provide them that a lot easier. For example, when I'm playing jungle now, because I do understand how lane matchups go really well, and I understand wave management, I'm often able to tell already if a gank is going to be likely just based on even the start of the game, and throughout the game I'm able to evaluate these decisions a lot more clearly. However, it took me a long time to really do this and to learn the roles the way that I did. If you guys don't know, it took me over a year and a half, roughly, I would say a year and a half, to hit Challenger on every role. I had an account for every role, and I hit Challenger back when Challenger was the highest rank in the game rather than Sovereign, and I hit Challenger on every separate, every role separately. And so this took me a long time. I would specialize in one role at a time, really get good at that role for the season, and then I would kind of move on and continue to learn. So I definitely wouldn't say that you should just, queue autofill right away and just expect that you're going to be really good, because it's going to take a lot of time to really master these roles, because each role is unique and complicated and definitely quite difficult. And so then you might be asking, well, what should I do? How should I approach this? So if you really do want to play autofill, it can be very beneficial in the end, because you're able to obviously have less autofill teammates when you're playing autofill, and if you understand all the roles, there's a lot of benefits to that. However, I think it's also useful to choose one or two roles that really relate to the specific role that you want to play. So for example, if you're an ADC main, oftentimes playing support and understanding support is the most valuable, because then you can understand how your support wants to play, how different supports play, and understanding how to play better around your support. However, if you're playing a role like, say, jungle, then understanding a solo lane so that you can learn better wave management and things like this is going to be really important. Okay, so we've now kind of established that you should probably learn one role initially, specialize in that role, but then what should you do once you really have specialized in a role and you really feel very comfortable at it, and maybe you want to learn another role? Again, going about learning these roles by choosing what relates to your role, again, the ADC support example, this type of thing is very important. But another important thing to understand is choosing the champions that you're actually going to play in these roles. And so one important thing is often having flex champions. So for example, say that you're a top lane main. Gragas is a great champion to play in top lane, because then when you're autofill, you don't have to worry so much about understanding the champion. For example, your autofill mid, your autofill jungle, your autofill support, you can play Gragas in all of these roles. And a lot of other champions play multiple roles. And so having a champion specifically that you main that plays multiple roles is often very beneficial, because then you can put that as your secondary or third role and still be very good at those roles. And kind of you don't really need to worry about that fourth and fifth role, because you're not going to get it very often. And you will get autofilled every once in a while. And sometimes you're just going to have to YOLO it and kind of hope, for the best in these types of scenarios. But generally speaking, as long as your champion can play a couple of roles, you're going to be pretty comfortable, or at least if you know 1 to 2 champions per role. And so generally I would say have about 2 to 3 champions in your main 2 roles that you can play well, and then 1 champion that you can play in every other role effectively. Okay, so now we kind of spoke about how to choose how many roles you're going to play and what roles you're going to play. Now I'm going to talk about how you actually go about learning these new roles once you have obviously chosen what you want to play. And so the first thing is going to be really kind of experimenting at the start, being okay with making mistakes when you're learning this role. Maybe going onto a Smurf account or playing PvPs rather than playing on your main account is going to allow you to have a bit more leeway in your mistakes early on, rather than being super worried about, playing in the high ranks that you're currently at or whatever, playing at your peak rank, because that's going to make it a little bit more stressful. So starting off, slow, again, in the PvPs or on another account, sort of learn that role and get more comfortable is the first thing that really helps you with learning a new role. Okay guys, so the next thing that I would do after obviously playing on a Smurf account would be that I would seek out content for the role I'm looking for. So whether that's watching live streamers in high elo, whether that's watching YouTube videos, guides, sometimes even League PC guides can also be very useful. Of course, I have a guide for mid lane and jungle already on my channel, and I do plan on, again, making one this weekend for another role, and then probably, weekly making those. So say in 2 to 3 weeks, I should have guides for every role. Things like this, just finding guides, is really useful for understanding the more specific things about the role. And then also watching other players in your elo. So say that you're a master player, right? Play some games on whatever your main role is. Maybe watch a replay or two of when you match against a grandmaster player or a challenger player. Watch how they end up playing that role. Watch their replay, just kind of see what you would have done and compare it to how they ended up playing the game. And just kind of comparing the decisions that you would have made with then the decisions that the enemy makes is often going to be a very useful thing to do as well, in terms of improving at an individual role. Okay, so this next point is also really going to help you improve at any individual role, and this is something I often talk about in my coaching videos, and that's finding a couple points at a time to work on and focusing most of your time and effort on improving those couple things rather than trying to improve at like 20 things at once. So oftentimes when I'm coaching someone, I'll write out a list of say about 10 points that they need to improve on, and I'll tell them choose 2 or 3 of these at a time, work specifically on these things for the next 10 to 20 games, and then once you feel like you've built them as habits, you can move on to the next couple points. And so oftentimes, even if you don't have me coaching, you can watch your own replays back or watch other good players play the game, take some notes on what you might be lacking or what other players do that you don't, and then try to implement 2 to 3 of these things in your gameplay at a time, and then just slowly continue this process, and you will in the long run definitely improve significantly. It will take some time and you need to be patient. You're not going to improve a ton in just a singular day. Sometimes these things take weeks or even months, which kind of leads me to my next point, which is not necessarily rushing yourself to improve. If you do something more like set a specific goal, like I want to, get this rank by, the next month or the next 2 months, rather than a really short-term goal of just like, I want to, hit an entire another rank in just like a week. So usually for me, I'll have a more long-term goal that's, say 1 to 3 months long that I want to achieve against usually some type of rank. And then I'll have a lot of small goals within that, like I want to improve my laning phase, I want to improve at this champion, I want to get better at this role. And those, smaller goals that lead towards one bigger goal is usually going to allow you to have a lot more specified practice rather than just being like, I want challenger and I don't know how I'm going to get that. I'm just going to hope that I'm able to win enough and get it. Alright, so that's kind of it for this video, guys. Sometimes I like providing shorter videos that sort of just answer a specific question and just going a little bit into depth on those specific things that I feel like are valuable to you guys. Other times, obviously, I have really long coaching videos or longer guides, and I feel like this mixture of kind of content I feel is pretty valuable. Let me know if you have suggestions for any type of stuff you want in the future. If you don't know, as a rank 5 Sovereign player, I do coaching for $15 an hour, so there's a link in the description to that. And then also, if you guys didn't know, I am recently just started my classes for college, so that's why I might be sounding a bit quieter because now I'm recording in my dorm room, so I'm obviously trying to be a bit more quiet. I'll still try to get videos daily for you guys, but definitely there may be days where I'm busy with school and whatever and I don't get a video out on that day. But either way, I hope you guys enjoy the video and I'll see you in the next one.